Please join me for a moment of reflection in Gasho. Namandas. How lucky I am, the most hopeless person in the world to be saved is none other than myself. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning again. Thank you for inviting me to join with you to observe Honko. As Takashi said, our families are longtime friends. I knew Takashi when he was smaller than Keisai. I took Takashi to Disneyland for his first time when he was 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old. I have pictures of when we went to Disneyland. So it's a pleasure, and yet at the same time, it's a shock to think that Takashi's all grown up now, and I can play with Keisai. But thank you very much for being so kind to their family, and I hope they will do a good job here for you, and Takashi will share the Dharma with all of you. But this morning, thank you again for coming out in the rain. Looking back on these last 3 years, who could have imagined the chaos and the uncertainty that this world was thrown into by this COVID virus? It's amazing that this thing that doesn't even have a brain, and it's not even considered a living organism, threatened humankind the way it has. Almost every aspect of our lives in the world as we know it has been affected and changed by this COVID-19. Unfortunately, many of us, I'm sure, lost loved ones and friends due to COVID. And many of us have experienced and suffered the consequences of this virus. As Buddhists, we know that every karmic occurrence is a result of countless other occurrences. And that COVID-19 just didn't appear out of nowhere. I believe that COVID-19 is a sign from Mother Nature that perhaps we humans need to change the way we do things and the way we exist in the world. Hopefully, this pandemic and the life lessons it has forced upon us has taught us to become more compassionate. Hopefully, this pandemic has shown us how important it is to be human in our existence. For a while, I actually thought, these last few years, there hasn't been a major war in the world. But today we see the people of Ukraine suffering due to one crazy man. And it pains me to see and experience the ugliness of discrimination, hatred, self-centeredness, and the me attitude that has risen to new levels in this country in the last few years. Up until recently, I never felt being an Asian American in California could be dangerous to my safety. Nor did I think our temples would be vandalized and defaced in this day and age. And I wonder, what is wrong with a society where the leading cause of death for children is now by firearms? It's certainly a sad commentary on a society that is willing to allow its children to innocently die and do nothing to stop it. How can this wonderful country allow firearms to be the greatest killer of our precious children? 800 years ago, Shinran Shonin saw his community, his society, and his nation, where the common people struggled to have enough to eat, and they had to deal with famines, and they were trying to constantly keep healthy from outbreaks of disease. He saw constant fighting and killing between the clans, where hundreds, if not thousands, of young men died in a single battle, while the aristocracy and the wealthy enjoyed a life of safety and luxury. But has our world, our human society, changed that much in the 800 years since Shinran's time? Here in the greatest society in the world, it's hard to believe that 34 million people, nearly 10% of America, including 9 million children, won't have enough to eat today. We're currently living through the world's greatest pandemic in 100 years. And we all know too well the continuing unrest in our society due to hatred, discrimination, and inequality. So is our 21st century world any different than Shinran's world? Has human nature changed any in 800 years? Or for that matter, have humans changed at all since the time of our ancestors who lived in caves? Even with all the technological, medical, societal, and humanitarian advances that have been made over the last 2,600 years since the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, we humans are still overwhelmingly consumed by ignorance, greed, and anger. The flames of anger, greed, and ignorance continue to burn endlessly at the very soul of humankind. Unfortunately, greed and the lust for one's own satisfaction seem to be as American as apple pie. Honen Shonin and Shinran Shonin brought the boundless compassion of Amida to the masses in the 13th century. And their message is just as relevant to the people like ourselves today, even in the 21st century. If the same human conditions that existed 800 years ago during the time of Shinran still exist today, why is it that the Nembutsu path does not resonate with modern society? For me, I look at our world today and see that everything is so artificial. Everything is fueled by the need for us to have immediate gratification, which only immerses us deeper in greed, anger, and ignorance. And actually, for us in the 21st century, it's hard for us to tell what is truthful and what is real. Look around us. What is real anymore? Just look at the world we live in. We wear fancy clothes, we put on makeup, we have surgery to hide and mask our appearance. We use artificial grass and plants which stay green all year and only need a periodic dusting. We have low-calorie drinks and foods with artificial taste enhancers to satisfy our taste buds. We have artificial intelligence to create artificial sensory and pleasures for the fulfillment of our senses. In olden times, we'd spend hours preparing and cooking New Year's foods, which we can now zap in the microwave or fry in the air fryer in a matter of minutes. Even I can make inari sushi for New Year's using the instant mix, and it tastes just as delicious as obachans used to make. We can enjoy chocolates and even alcoholic beverages that don't have calories anymore. We can have beautiful eyelashes, muscles, even artificial breasts, nose, and cheeks. We can get rid of wrinkles and implant dimples. We can straighten teeth or change the color of one's eyes in a matter of seconds. We even have fake meat today. But most of these so-called human advances were developed in the name of pleasing our senses and for self-gratification. But we are still faced with the same human sufferings that plagued humans from the beginning of humankind. And so are we really any better off in the 21st century than we were 800 years ago? We still get sick. We still, unfortunately, age. We still suffer from having to be with people we don't want to be with. We feel immense pain from not being with the ones we want to be with. We lie, we cheat, we talk bad, and we think ill thoughts of others. We think we are always right and others are wrong. We can find a million faults with somebody else, but can't think of one fault of our own. And nowadays, so many people think they don't need spiritual guidance, support, or a moral compass anymore. The foolishness of self, which Shinran realized about himself, is still present even 800 years later. We've all encountered people who think they know more than anybody else and probably think of themselves as being equal to the Buddha. But if these individuals truly understood reality, they would realize their foolishness and learn that the more you learn, the more you realize you really don't know. The foolish truly believe that the world revolves around themselves and only themselves. We see something good when it benefits or satisfies us, but then it becomes bad or has no meaning and use when it's no longer to our advantage. How sad humans are. And I think many of you are familiar with the Japanese term, oyabaka. English translation could be the blind foolishness of a parent. All of us think we are the perfect parent with the perfect child. But it's so easy to find one fault in someone else's child. In the teachings, it said it's better to find a single fault of one's own than to find 10 faults in somebody else. This is the true foolish nature of humankind. Do gophers have foolish nature? Do beavers have foolish nature? Does a tree have foolish nature? Or what about a carrot? Why is it that only we humans have foolish nature? Soon it'll be sakura or cherry blossom season. I saw the tree in the garden here. It's beautiful. And throughout history, the Japanese have loved the sakura as a symbol of Japan, but also because it represents the truth of our existence, the fragile nature of life. The sakura struggles to bloom in the cold spring, and then it blooms beautifully for 2 or 3 days if lucky, and then flutters to the ground and dies. A very simple existence, but it's no different than our existence as humans in the end. The ultimate truth of all existence, including us, is that someday we will depart from this world. And that's as basic a truth as life gets. But it's my ego and my foolish nature that says, don't worry, there'll be a tomorrow. There'll be a tomorrow. There'll be endless tomorrows. But the reality is, sooner or later, I'm going to run out of tomorrows. Speaking here this morning, listening to the rain outside, it seems almost impossible that we were having a water shortage. My mom lives in Fresno, so I travel back and forth to Central California every couple of weeks. And Fresno, as you know, is that main agricultural area. And they've had to deal with not having enough water for all of the agriculture. And you see many signs driving on the freeway in Fresno, pray for rain, pray for rain. Obviously, I think they prayed too much. And I like to say someone should have told God or Kami-sama or the deities that we only need 2 inches or 3 inches of rain, and not as much as we've been getting these last couple of weeks. But humans believe in a higher power that will answer prayers or requests. But why is it that we think our request, our prayer, is more worthy than someone else's? It always amazes me how school teams pray at the beginning of a sporting event. But how does a deity or the deity know which team should win and which team should lose? In my mind, if the deity was all compassionate, shouldn't all sports matches end in a tie? Shinran reflected upon and brought forth to this world his realization of the truth of Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu is what enables me to get a good and real glimpse of my exploding ego, my foolish nature, and my endless ignorance. I can say I do good things when it serves my needs, when it inflates my ego and pride. But I have a very hard time of admitting when I do something bad or making a mistake. That's the kind of fool that I am. In my work with the BDK Foundation, I have an opportunity to meet and talk to many people from different Buddhist paths. And everyone seems so diligent and earnest in following their practice. As I'm talking to them, I'm thinking to myself, I have no doubt that they will become enlightened at some point. When I talk to followers of like Nichiren Shoshu, one of the Nichiren sects, I'm always amazed at how I can see the compassion and the clarity of their practice and faith in their words, their actions, and in their eyes. When I look at them, their eyes and their hearts are crystal clear. They have totally embraced and devoted themselves to Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. I sure wish I had that kind of faith. But I'm too busy living. I'm too busy going out to lunches and dinners with friends. I'm too busy with work. I'm too busy watching samurai movies on NHK TV. I'm too busy being busy. I have no interest what's in store for me after I die. I just want more and more. Unfortunately, I guess I'm pretty hopeless. But you know what? Thanks to Shinran's understanding of the Buddha's great promise, actually, I'm perfect. More than anyone else that has ever lived on this earth, I am the most perfect Brian Nagata that has ever lived and will ever live on this earth. There hasn't been a bigger fool, a bigger loser, a bigger idiot than me, this Brian Nagata. But I'm perfect. I am perfect. I am the perfect Nembutsu follower. 850 years ago, Shinran came into this world. And because of his realization of the foolish and hopeless nature of himself, and his understanding of the boundless compassion and wisdom of the Amida Buddha, I, myself, and each of you are perfect just as we are. This Brian Nagata is overweight, bald, wrinkled. He's a liar. He's deceiving. He's selfish. He's an egomaniac, full of hate and dislikes. He hates cauliflower and kale. He's ungrateful, mean, bad-mouthed, always complains about his mother, and is totally hopeless. But I am perfect. How grateful I am to have been born into this world of samsara, this world of suffering, so that the foolish being known as Brian Nagata can be embraced by the Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu is me. Namo Amida Butsu is with you. Namo Amida Butsu is with every life form in this universe and beyond. There will be good times, there will be bad times, sad times, happy times. There will be suffering, physical and mental. There will be pain of hurt, distrust, deceit, and hate in our lives. But we have been given this one chance to live in this world, to breathe, to laugh, to cry and smile, to love and be loved, and to be embraced by Namo Amida Butsu. Over and over again, I keep saying, I am one big fool. But I am truly a fool who knows nothing. And at this point in my life, I can only entrust myself to the Amida Buddha and the great embrace of his light. And I certainly hope that the light of Amida, the light of Namo Amida Butsu, will shine upon each of your lives and all life in this universe. In closing, on the occasion of this observance of Honko, let us take a moment to express our gratitude to Shinran Shonin, who clarified the path for us to be forever embraced by Namo Amida Butsu. Please join me in a more final moment of reflection. May all who aspire for birth in the land of peace and bliss realize their desire without hindrance, so that all may be born there together. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much.